This is affecting our mental state. It's affecting our decision making. We are so fogged.
Run up them rats like I want them. Count up them rats, we gon' want them. Carrots, I want them upon us. Clarity beats, I see water. Talking cash out when I want them.
Well, welcome back. Thanks for joining me. Today's podcast, I'm going to cover my last segment on lonely but not alone. If you notice, I'm standing up today. I get real fidgety when I'm sitting down. I don't really like to sit down. I think a lot of my public speaking and things have been in a stand-up setting for me. So I just feel more comfortable. I'm in here by myself, so it's just more comfortable for me to stand up. So anyways, we're going to see how it goes. I don't know how this is going to go, so we'll see. Again, first spotlight today. Again, it's going to go to Tim Hughes, Grace Point Church in Topeka. Shout out to Tim. He's the one that's actually originally covered this stuff in his church. And I just had a friend that attends that church and has been able to send me the testimonies that he shares on Sunday mornings. And I've had an opportunity to watch those several times over. So thanks a lot, Tim. Thanks for covering this. Really opened my eyes, my wife's eyes, my kids' eyes. I've heard a lot of really good feedback from other people that I've watched. So thank you again, Tim, and all credit to you for even bringing this to my attention and bringing it to our attention. So thank you, Tim. Continue doing what you're doing, and we'll be meeting you soon. So looking forward to it. Let's get started. So first thing I want to start out with is I want to refer back to that UCLA index that I referred to in my first video. And in this index, it does show us, and I think they do this, I think a study is every other year, I do believe, is what Tim mentions, that 3 out of 5 people feel more lonely today than we ever have. 3 out of 5. 3 out of 5 listening, 3 out of 5 watching, 3 out of 5 not watching, 3 out of 5 not listening. 3 out of 5 is the number, guys. Astronomical numbers. That relates to 60% and a percent. So we have 60% that feel more lonely today than we ever have. But we have all these social media platforms. We have all these podcasts. We have all these things. So we can be more connected than ever. But we are so far disconnected. And you know, Tim's purpose is my purpose. I have the same purpose. All I'm trying to do is bring awareness, help encourage you on some things that we could do to correct some of these things. That's really all this is boiling down to, guys. I'm going to go right off of what Tim said, and I'm going to quote Tim, because to tie all these things together, lonely but not alone. You're walking down the hall, lonely but not alone. You're sitting at the family gathering, you're lonely, but you're not alone. He points to something that is counterintuitive. It is, but just hear me out. Don't skip. Hear me out here. And I quote from Tim. He says, I argue our souls aren't just thirsty because of loneliness. That we are thirsty because they are never alone. One more time, but faster. He said, he argues our souls aren't just thirsty because of loneliness, that we also are thirsty because we're never alone. Brings up some good points. And I was trying to find some other examples. Honestly, he hit the nail on the head with his example. So Tim, I'm going to steal your example. Think about you go to a lunch with somebody. You go out to eat. The person that you're eating with, maybe it's a friend, whatever, they get up to go use the restroom. How long before you grab your phone after they leave the table? Reverse it. Say you're the friend getting up from the table to go use the restroom by yourself, to go do something private by yourself. Do you take your phone? We're never alone. We always have that thing right there with us, don't we? I'm just as guilty, guys. He said it, and it's like, holy cow, yeah. Now my wife and I, we've implemented some rules and stuff, so no phones and stuff. But I understand what he's saying, because I was that way for most of my life. I mean, this this is newer. We're only 6 months, 3 to 6 months in on a lot of these technology changes for my family. So this isn't something that we've adapted for years, and I'm here telling you how great it is. And no, but I'm going to tell you, in that small time frame, I have noticed a massive difference, a massive change. Okay, so not being able to escape it, not being able to escape it. You know, Cal Newport said it best. He called it, we're in a digital attention economy. We can't escape it, guys. The year that this all falls back to is the year 2007. And I believe Tim's correct when he said, our grandkids, our great-grandkids, our great-great-grandkids, they are going to study the year 2007. This year will go down in infamy for forever. 2007 was the year that Steve Jobs released the first iPhone. 2007 was the year that Facebook went from just college campuses to the general public, worldwide population, things like that. 2007 was also the year that Twitter launched. So 2007 was the start of the digital revolution as we see it today. The smartphones, things like that, being able to connect, and think that started in 2007. Okay, and I think we could all agree there are some massive positive things to technology, but I think we could also agree that there are some major downfalls to technology. Major downfalls. And I could almost argue that the downfalls triumph the positive. But it is nice to have something in the palm of your hand. I remember I hit the lottery. I got a Walkman for my birthday one year. It was one of the greatest gifts I ever had. Now it sounds ridiculous because you have YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music, whatever you want to listen to, you have it right there on your phone. You can also watch podcasts right there on your phone. You could also, if you don't have a physical Bible, you could technically do Bible study on your phone. There are websites, there are apps. The app that I use is that one. I highly recommend it. I don't use this for my Bible study, but I use it to kickstart my morning. I read a Bible verse before I do anything else. So the first thing I put in my head every day is a Bible verse. It's the first thing I read. I come back and do more. That's definitely, don't call that your spirit for the day is reading one Bible verse. That's not what that is. But I'm just saying there are ways, because of technology, that you can do amazing things all in the palm of your hand. It's all right there on one device. You don't have to carry, your Walkman, your thing of CDs. We used to have the visor things. You'd be driving on the road and trying to, I remember those. Cleaning them off because they're skipping a little bit, and we don't have to do that stuff anymore. It's all Bluetooth. It all just connects. It's seamless. It's easy. But it's dangerous. It's very, very dangerous. I'm going to put a quote up here for you guys. I'm going to read it out loud as well. This is actually from the founding president of Facebook. The gentleman's name is Sean Parker. Now, Tim shared this as well, so I stole this from Tim. So shout out to Tim again. But the thought process that went into building the applications, Facebook being the first of them, was all about how do we consume as much of your time and conscientious attention as possible. And that means that we need to sort of give you a dopamine hit every once in a while because someone liked or commented on a post or whatever. Now, a lot of people, and Tim mentioned caffeine, a lot of people would say caffeine's America's drug of choice. I would have argued sugar would have been America's drug of choice. But honestly, dopamine is America's drug of choice. I'm a firm believer in that. And I'm going to tell you some of my personal experiences to kind of help tie this stuff in. So my personal people that probably know me, know of me. I guess very few of them know me, but they know of me. I disappeared for a while. This has a lot to do. I didn't know this information. I knew it subconsciously. I knew technology was a problem. So I exited stage left. And the only reason I had social media when I did have it was usually for work, because I was in a management position and I was using social media to source candidates. That's really what it was coming down to, was having a hard time getting candidate flow. And And so I was using social media to increase candidate flow so I could put the right people in the right seats. That was what I was using it for. I would never post anything personal. And to this day, I don't really post personal things. I went because I feel like, and he ties this together, being alone and being in solitude is mightily important. But I think, we are so lonely but not alone all the time that we have a really, really hard time escaping that. Ask yourself, when was the last time you sat anywhere? A park, a mall, your house, your car, anywhere. No phone, no music, silence, and solitude. And just sat there for longer than 5 minutes, 10 minutes. When's the last time you did that? I'll tell you, you should be doing it every day. Every day. I would say 5 to 10 minutes every day, preferably 10. You need to spend in your own thoughts, in your own being. No outside noise, no outside influence, just you and the man above. It's extremely important, not to get too biblical, but, Jesus displayed this in his life here. He went to what they called the wilderness at the time. Now, there's some Greek term, wilderness did not mean wilderness as we think of it. And I'm not going to get into that. Honestly, I'm not educated enough to even talk about it. But understand that this isn't something that I'm just coming up here and saying. This isn't something that Tim just thought of. This is something that our own Jesus Christ himself practiced. There's proof of that. So, this isn't some new idea or new concept. This is just a concept I feel like we've really pulled away from. And you saw that quote from the president, or the founding president of Facebook, Mr. Sean Parker. It doesn't look like they're in to have your best interest. I mean, you can see that quote. That doesn't sound like somebody that really wants what's best for you. It doesn't sound like somebody that really wants you to be connected with people. It doesn't sound like somebody that really cares if you're lonely but not alone. You follow? We need to take it into our own hands, guys. This is affecting our mental state. It's affecting our decision making. We are so fogged. This is affecting our entire economy, our country. You go into a public setting and nobody talks to anybody. It's always these awkward. It's awkward, right? It's all facial expressions. You're nodding. That's what we do now. And I can remember being a kid, and you'd go to a store, and people would talk. You'd be standing in line, and there was no self-checkout when I was growing up. You had to stand in line. And, when you were standing in line, a lot of times you just talk to the person around you. I can also remember there was a whole plethora of magazines. If you go look at those same magazines, they're still there in some stores. Some stores have done away with them. The ones that are there, that selection is much smaller. And Tim points out the reason why is when we stand in line, we do this. We're not looking for anything. There are some stats on it that sales of candy and those places have gone down. The pop, the drinks, everything that you see when you walk up to a cash register, all those sales have declined massively. Now, I didn't go grab numbers and stats because I'm not going to convince you of this stuff. I think you guys can understand that this is a problem. I thought about it. I was like, I don't want to do that here. So, but those things have gone down. But it's because we're not even paying attention. So, and I'm not saying buy candy in magazines, but that's an example of we just don't pay attention to anything. I do say we need to talk to our neighbors more. We need to talk to people more. Have actual conversations. We have so many conversations in our own heads, and then you go and actually talk to the person that you thought, how it was going to, and then it never goes the way it went in your head. It never does. You have all this built up anxiety and frustration and anger, and that is why Mr. Charlie Kirk used to go to these campuses, because he kept saying when people stop talking is when violence starts. He welcomed the opposition. He welcomed the other argument. Because he wanted people to understand, listen, I will hear you out if you hear me out. And we can agree to disagree, and that's okay. Maybe you're going to say something I never thought about. And maybe I'm going to say something that you never thought about. But at the end of the day, if neither one of us backs off our ground, hey, respect. That's what it really boils down to. But we have lost that. And I really believe in my heart of hearts that technology, lonely but not alone, all these things if you connect the dots, they correlate. And I mentioned in my other one about the recent shooter for Charlie Kirk, of the alleged shooter, is Mr. Tyler Robinson. So, and my argument is, and I was talking to some friends about this, is, odds are this guy or kid, I still consider him a kid, but he probably had technology in his hands by the age of 5. If I was willing to bet you. But by no later than the age of 7, I can guarantee you. So he did this at 22 years old. So we'll say 7 years old. We'll say he was a late bloomer. I doubt it, but we'll say he's a late bloomer on this stuff. 7 to 22. That's 15 years of being desensitized. That's 15 years of seeing things that are completely inappropriate, that he had no business seeing. All this goes together. And today, you can get on YouTube and you can watch violence. And I remember when I was growing up, when YouTube first came out, you couldn't even put a hunting video on there, get kicked out. They'd kick it out of there. Now you can literally watch police body cams. You can watch assassinations. I think you can just watch some security footage on like some surveillance cameras. And so what are we doing? We have people in place, our first responders, our military, and they have, counselors and psychologists assigned to each department that they can reach out to. Because guys, it's not normal to see this kind of stuff at all. It's not normal. We're not supposed to see it. And I get extremely upset and extremely passionate, and I'm going to try not to, and I'm trying really hard not to, but I get very upset because I have people that I absolutely love and I'm adore and admire and look up to that deal with what real PTSD is, because I had to go see these things. And it just absolutely sickens me that we have parents that are allowing their 8 and 9-year-old kids to have their door shut in their bedroom and watch the same stuff. It's not good. It's not good. So I think the challenge here has got to be, guys, we're lonely when we're not alone. But I think spending time alone will help correct some of that. Jimmy Valvano even said, you should spend some time in deep thought every single day. It's mightily important. Can't express to you enough how important it is to spend some time with yourself. My late Aunt Wendy passed away, but she used to tell me all the time, she said, if you can't enjoy your own company, don't expect anybody else to. And that's always stuck with me, and it's sometimes I don't like eating that advice, but it's the true advice. And so, we have to, as parents, as people, as friends, we've got to do a better job of spending time with ourselves, being connected with ourselves, and quit just relying on a like, a share, a comment, or whatever the case may be to help get us through to the next day. I mentioned my own personal story of me disappearing. That was for me to work on me. I didn't need a dopamine hit. I needed to go look in the mirror and go focus on what I needed to fix. I was despicable when I looked at myself in the mirror. I did not like what I saw. I didn't like the man that I was, the husband that I was, the father that I was, the employee that I was, the Christian that I wasn't, all these things. And I had to go me versus me. That's just what it boiled down to. And hearing this tied everything in for me, because I kind of walked this same path to get on a path where I felt happier to look in the mirror. I look in the mirror now and I'm like, thank you, Steve. Thank you for finally doing something right. And thank you for sticking with it. And thank you for being disciplined. I couldn't say that before. And I'm far from perfect. You guys see it. I'll be open about one of the biggest struggles I have right now is I let my passion get in the way and I don't use language that I approve of. That's just me being honest. And luckily I have friends that call me and say, hey man, whoa. I mean, you're right, but whoa. And you have people like that in your life. It's important. So that is all I have today for the Lonely But Not Alone. I really hope that this segment was able to touch you guys as much as it touched me. I know we covered a lot. We covered AI. We covered depression, suicide. We covered solitude. We covered not being alone. We covered a lot in this segment. A lot of really, really good information. And all this, and Tim Hughes even mentioned it, this was brought to his attention by a retired U.S. surgeon. A U.S. surgeon called we had a loneliness epidemic, is what he called it. And did a lot of research and a lot of really good information. And that's where Tim got kick-started, and then obviously it kick-started me. So, Tim, thank you again for everything. Thank you for the all the videos. Really, really has helped me out a lot. I know my audience as well has thanked me quite a bit. So thank you again, sir, for even covering the topic and bringing it to my attention. And shout out to Brandon, who's a gentleman that actually has been sending me this stuff and continues to send it to me. And I actually have a book. Brandon actually sent me this book yesterday. It's called The Meaning of Work. It goes into the series. I'm trying to get the whole series. But we do a Bible study, and we're going to study these books and things like that. So get people like that in your life. That's a highly recommended from me. Get people like that in your life that say, hey man, I'm gonna send you some books. Like, oh, okay. What are they? Then next thing you know, it's like, oh, they're this, and you're going to be in this Bible study with us, and this is got it. Thank you. Get people like that. I surrounded myself with people like that. It's amazing. I could only dream of it. Like I said the other day, I'm still waiting for my wife to say, hey, honey, it's time to wake up and go to the gym. Like, that was just a dream. But guys, it's just when you have good intentions, stuff comes to fruition. That's just the way things work. Thank you guys for joining me. Thank you, Tim. Thank you, Grace Point Church. Thank you, Brandon, for all the support, for the information, for opening my eyes. Thank you guys. And if you're out there listening, take care of yourself. Thanks for listening. God bless.